I'm going to be really proud of myself if I did that all on my own. I just want to say, I've never done that on my own.
Where's Donna? What's going on?
People are like, what are you talking about?
I kept looking for myself, but I wasn't in there, and I was like, what's going on?
James, were you in that opening?
Yes, he was.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Of course you were, because you're the founder of the Mortgage Scoop. I mean, come on.
Well,
everybody needs a scooper. I'll be honest, we need more of them in my neighborhood because I've got piles of dog shit on my lawn. I'm thinking of just like putting scoopers on my lawn because, I mean, can I ask you a question before we get into this?
Yeah.
The audacity it takes to watch your dog go to the bathroom on someone else's lawn and just leave it there. Who does that?
All the time. I do it all the time. I pretend to be on my phone and I'm not looking. It honestly like fertilizes the ground. So I see it as like not a problem at all.
No, it's a big problem.
Do I want to pick up the dog poop? No. So I just
don't have a dog.
You don't need a dog. You need like a bird or something. I mean, you need something else,
You should never get a bird though.
You need like a picture of a dog, All right. So we have James Kleiman. Everyone knows James. Jocelyn Voss. The casino knows her pretty well. I'll tell you that because she is a fierce blackjack player who plays by the rules, by the way. You hit on 16 when the dealer's got a face card.
Always.
Every time, right?
Got to be consistent,
Nothing more annoying than someone that has like a feeling, right? I'm going to stick on 16 because I feel like a big card's coming.
Oh, man. Those people kill me for sure.
So you're a real estate agent. And you're also involved in a tech company.
Yep.
Pretty impressive one.
Yep.
The name?
Final Offer. You'll hear me talk about it today. So.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in real estate. So I'm a mortgage guy. I think people know that. So we've got, we have someone that covers all of housing. You got a mortgage guy. We got a real estate agent. We thought, we would just get together and start chopping it up just on a whim. This was hardly planned. So here we go. Speaking of tech, big news yesterday in the Compass Anywhere world, which Jocelyn, you should kick things off. Tell us what happened and how you think it's going to impact things.
Yeah, I mean, Compass is looking to purchase Anywhere for what, $1.6 billion, $1.5 billion, which is a huge move because it includes, a ton of brokerages, whether they're corporate owned or franchises. I mean, we're talking Corcoran, Coldwell Banker, a lot of Sotheby's. Who am I missing? Century 21. I mean, we're talking, when I think about the DC market where Greg and I live, that's everybody. That just covered everybody.
Better Homes and Gardens is up there. Yeah, there's a couple.
ERA?
Yep. ERA.
ERA. Yeah, well, I just say ERA. It takes too much effort to say ERA,
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. I mean, obviously, it's going to take quite a while for this to actually happen. And, it's really a big disruption to the industry. I think in particular in my market where agents are very all in on Compass and work there or really against Compass for obvious reasons. This whole, private exclusive listing, what is that going to look like in the future? I think that's really top of mind since Compass has been, battling with Zillow very publicly around the value to the consumer and this technology as Compass's biggest retention and recruitment tool.
Well, I think one of the big questions I think anyone that has followed the evolution of Compass knows that private exclusive listings are, that is their creme de la creme. And Anywhere, my understanding is that they were against that. A lot of people inside the organization and even outwardly, James talked about how they were against that. And now all of a sudden, all these agents, 300,000 or however many agents, affiliates, whatever they're calling them, they wake up one day and now they're wearing the Compass jersey. It's like, oops.
Well, not quite. Yeah, not yet. So most likely this deal will not go through until sometime later next year. And as Jocelyn will tell you, agents are 1099s, right? With the exception of maybe Redfin and a couple, kind of strange shops out there. And so right now, the question is, are the Anywhere agents and franchisees, are they going to fly the Compass flag or are they going to look at options elsewhere? Because they can go wherever they want. But in some markets like where you guys are in sort of the DC area, there aren't a lot of options that are not Compass based after this. So it's going to be very market specific. And I think it's also interesting because if you check out their investor call from the other day, they talk a lot about ancillary and affiliated services. So they really want to have higher attach rates on mortgage, on title, on all kinds of things. So it's not just thinking about kind of the verticalization of the real estate deal and how they serve the consumer, but it's a similar trend that we've seen with Redfin Rocket and Zillow with the Flex program. It's this idea of being more than one thing to the customer. And so I think this potentially sets up a scene in which you have 4 to 5 very large players that are all intersecting across title and escrow, search, mortgage, real estate. So Compass is already cozied up to Andy Florence and Homes.com, CoStar. If they now have 25% plus of the market, could we see that relationship evolve? And then you have a very different marketplace, like functionally a different marketplace.
A lot of debt too, Jocelyn. I mean, let's not forget that not only are they taking on all the brands and all the people, but they're taking on an unbelievable amount of debt. It's my understanding that they just got out of debt and now they're taking all this debt on. And, I saw some industry experts on the housing side, on the real estate side, James Wiggins is one of them, talk about this idea that they just got done clearing the deck of their debt. What was it all for? And there's 2 schools of thought. One maybe to show that they know how to do that and can do it again. But it's a lot. It's a lot that they're taking on. It's a big number, and who's going to pay for that? I mean, that's a big question. You're a high producing real estate agent. It seems like outside looking in, there's only a few ways to make up a deficit, and that's to, charge more, pay less. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is, the Anywhere brand has a similar model of how they make money to Compass, whereas the LPTs, EXP, Real, they have a very different model. Or if you look at like Realty One Group, right? And so it makes sense that they took on a similar model to how they make money. I think that agents are already squeezing brokerages for what they get, right? I mean, good agents are easily getting a 90-10 split, and that's only gotten worse for the broker owners. So I don't think agents are going to be okay with giving up more money at this point because they don't really see the value. Something I want to add too is that if you really ask every broker owner out there, whether they're a small shop, medium, big, part of a franchise, or someone like an EXP, if you even just ask them, how do you guys share listings the second, a listing agreement signed, these off-market listings? Do you have anything of sharing? They all have something, whether it's technology like Final Offer, or they have a Facebook group or a Slack channel. So when people are out here saying, boo, boo, boo about this concept of sharing an off-market or pre-market listing, I don't really care what they say. I know every single one of them has some way of communicating around it. And I wish everyone would just stop hating Compass for having real tech around it and just be truthful with the fact that everybody knows that there is some type of sharing that agents like to do when they get a listing agreement signed before it's ready for the market.
James?
Yeah, I mean, fair play. Compass is certainly not the only one that does this, right? And I think it gives you a big edge as a real estate agent to say, like, hey, I am the bouncer at this exclusive club that you want to get into, and I think people could debate whether or not it should be done, but the reality is it is being done, and you can't kind of put it back to the way it was. And we're not talking about a rule that has been enshrined since like 1904. Like, it's only been a couple of years since CCP really was in effect, put through. I mean, they even call it the Compass rule, like informally. So, and just, related to the splits, I think that's really what's going to be interesting here, because Compass is in a funny position in that if you talk to agents and others in sort of the real estate brokerage community, they'll tell you the reason the splits are so high is partly because of Compass in the first place. Compass was out there spending, like doing 90, 95, 5 splits to bring in top producers, and they've acquired so much of the marketplace through their M&A transactions. I'm in New York, and they've acquired like 3 of the top shops that have, since been there, including some independents. And so can they dial that back? Can Compass be a more profitable company if instead of having the 85-15, 90-10, can they get down to 75 or 80-20? I just don't see those agents saying, yeah, we're going to stick around because the technology is so good and the marketing is so good. They'll have other options in a lot of marketplaces. And then you have to think, okay, well, is there enough transaction volume that they can still pay down the debt and not have it come out of somewhere? Maybe, I don't know the intricacies of both books, but I can tell you Anywhere is already cut pretty damn close to the bone. They've been in cost cutting mode for years now. I don't know what else is left to cut. So when they talk about all these synergies that they're going to be eliminating, first of all, those are jobs. I'm like, it's a weird way to talk about it. But the second thing is like, what are you going to cut? It's hard to see where it's going to come from. Now, maybe they can make up for it by attaching something like mortgage, where instead of say $5,000-$6,000 a transaction that's going to the brokerage, it's going to be $11,000-$12,000 a transaction. But it's hard to convince an agent like a Jocelyn to send deals to an in-house person because she already has her trusted referral partners in mortgage and knows they're going to come through for her every time, or hopefully every time. Otherwise, not much of a relationship after that. But you can't just tell them work with Guaranteed Rate Affinity if you have never worked with anyone there before. So that's one of the very obvious paths for them to, not bake it into, the commission costs for the agents. But I don't see a whole lot of other easy ways to pay down that debt.
I think the only other thing I can think of is going super hard on this kind of pre-market private exclusive thing. And however and whatever that looks like with market share like this, I mean, that's their recruitment and retention tool. It used to be writing checks to agents. It's now, hey, we have all these off-market listings. Like, how are they going to leverage this at a larger level? That might be it. Because you're right, James. I'm not changing lenders. I love my NFM lender, Van Papadopoulos. I love my lender, right? And so I'm not going to just go do that because they asked me to.
Yeah, the private exclusive, because people hear that. I think a lot of people don't know what it means. So can you give me 30 seconds on what private exclusive is, Jocelyn, and also how, if at all, it's impacted your business not being a part of Compass and the private exclusive world?
Yeah, so think of a private exclusive listing, and I'm really going to tell you how Compass has trained their agents. I used to be a Compass agent. It's the second a listing agreement is signed, there's this in-between period of what's happening as you get it ready for the open market on the MLS. That could be 2 days if you're really fast. It could be a month. It could be a week. Whatever that time period is, it's going into a system like Compass's private exclusive functionality with a little bit of information, maybe a couple iPhone shots, where now it automatically feeds into saved searches that agents are setting up for their clients through Compass's technology called Compass Collections. Okay, so it's this automated process where every MLS listing feeds in based on the criteria, along with those off-market private exclusive listings.
What's the other part of it is how's that impacted your business?
So I made Final Offer, the company I work at, I made them build that same functionality for all the other brokerages out there to have the same exact technology that allows the automation of it. Because again, like I said, you go to an EXP, you go ask agents at every other brokerage, they will tell you, oh, we have a Slack channel or we have a Facebook group where we share all of that. That's cool. However, it's not automated and goes directly to the client of the buyer agent who set up that search, which makes that more streamlined and faster. But as the previous Compass agent, I accounted 40% of my business during the hot market to off-market movement using Compass's private, features.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a bet! $2.6 billion in debt as part of the acquisition. I mean, that's massive. And according to a lot of the stories, James, they Compass took a $750 million line down to help finance some of that. I mean, this is talk about all in. I mean, you got to respect the courage
the real gamblers, right?
Yeah, to push all those chips in the middle of the table, but they're not the only ones.
No,
Everyone's
and I
making
think this says more about the brokerage landscape, and it's a really tough business. It's a small margin business, and your entire value proposition is the salespeople like Joss, right? Like, and if you don't keep them happy, like that's your boss. If you don't keep the sales agents happy, you don't really have much of a product. And so I think what you're starting to see is this recognition that these legacy names don't have a lot of value outside of the people who are currently there and the position that they have in the marketplace. And so we know that there were conversations between Douglas Elliman and, Anywhere is a much bigger fish than Douglas Elliman. Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, another company that they were rumored to be in on. So, and they're in similar, a similar position. They're not exactly printing money right now. It's been a slow market. I don't see how the Compass acquisition changes what that looks like for a Douglas Elliman or a Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Now, maybe there are other models that could, be representative of the future. Ryan Serhant kind of famously left a company that he'd been at with Eddie Shapiro for many years called Nest Seekers. And so many people I know were very surprised that it happened, because it's like, why would he leave? Why would he start a brokerage? Starting a brokerage sucks. Like, it's a shit job. Nobody wants to start a brokerage. Because it's just like mostly headaches, and you do it for what, 3% margin, right? Like 4% in a really good year. And at the end of the day, he's building something different. It's built on content creation, self-marketing. I think the TV show is awful. And I would be like horrified if people who worked under my banner represented themselves like that. But I guess it brings in leads, and that's kind of the holy grail of all this.
You're saying you don't like the Serhant TV stuff.
I think it's awful. I think it's absolutely terrible.
Real estate agents as bimbos, all of them do.
I've never heard you so passionate, anti-James. Wow, okay.
I think Ryan's a brilliant guy, actually. I think he's really smart.
Oh, he's so smart.
And I'm sure he thinks that it's good press, where any press is good press. But I would never work with people like that, given the conduct on the show. But again, they're getting hundreds of thousands of leads. So that's their business. But again, I do think this underscores the bigger problem in real estate, which is the model doesn't really work in bad times if you have debt. Anywhere.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, isn't this another example of a bet being placed that rates are going down? Like, if we go another 6 months, if this thing turns around and suddenly inflation starts to take off again and rates go back up to 7.5% to 8.5%, and inventory is still locked up, the market gets even colder. Wow. I mean, what is that? That 2.6 turns into something bigger.
I don't think it's a great sign for the market. I think Compass is buying an asset on the cheap because it's so heavily debt laden, and Compass is betting that they'll do what they did with that properties, which is convince most of the agents to stick with them, and that there's a sunnier sky coming tomorrow. Yeah. And like, what better option do you have?
And a smaller. Go ahead, Jocelyn.
I'm going to say, branding wise, what are they going to do? Are they going to let these brokerages keep their brand? So far, it seems with App Properties, Washington Fine Properties, that they have not made any requests to change any of what the branding looks like. Is it going to be powered by Compass under all of them at some point, or something of that nature?
Yeah, it needs to be. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't even talked about Zillow and NAR. What are they thinking right now?
Well, talk about that. Unpack that for us, one of you. What do you mean by that?
So, Zillow has sort of become the industry defender of clear cooperation policy, and saying, the rules say that you should have public marketing within, I think it's a single business day of it being marketed in some way, shape, or form. So whether that's you printed out a flyer on a Xerox machine and brought it to church, that constitutes public marketing. Or if you put it in a Facebook group, as Jocelyn said, or, put it anywhere, right? Even your Instagram, that constitutes marketing. And the rules of the road are you need to put that in the MLS. There are a lot of non-MLS operators out there who basically said, like, this is fucking stupid. We should be able to do whatever we want. And I think that's a perfectly valid thing. I do think that there is a bigger question about, well, the MLS system, as flawed as it may be, is really great marketing, right? Like, you're putting all on a single platform and anyone can view it, anyone can see it. And with relatively few exceptions, like if you're a celebrity or there's, a physical safety issue, why wouldn't you just put it up there? But I do think that Zillow has really lost a lot of leverage here, because Zillow has become kind of NAR's knight in shining armor by taking it on, because NAR doesn't want to deal with it. And I think it's going to be a problem if you have 25 to 30% of the listings in some markets. They're just going to dare Zillow to do something about it. And can Zillow cut away 30% of the listings on their platform, knowing that it's going to be on homes.com, knowing it's going to be on the Compass website?
So. I don't think so. Can they? No way.
You can do it with 5%, right? Maybe you can even do it with 10%. But can you do it with 25%, 30%?
I think Refkin is also looking to be, the next national MLS in some way, right? Whether that's some kind of combo with homes.com. I think that, his goal's always been go to compass.com and see what's going on, see things you can't see anywhere else, see make me move prices or homes that are willing to sell, for some crazy number. I mean, I think that's also part of his goal, and he's going to leverage that with this kind of pre-market, off-market, private exclusive functionality.
And are any of the MLSs individually strong enough to fight Compass?
I mean, most states have a lot of MLSs. Where I am, there's one big one and that's it. But I can't even imagine being an agent in a state where I have to input one listing in 2 or 3 MLSs. I mean, that is so inefficient. The save a search for the clients is inefficient. And it's really MLSs being like segmented like that makes it just not usable for an agent to keep everything in their system. You got to go somewhere else with like an IDX feed to do this type of stuff.
Mm.
There's like 20 MLSs in North Carolina, and some of them have like, a couple thousand. It's like, why does this exist?
Hey, flipping over to the mortgage side, not quite as big as the Compass Anywhere deal, but Sierra Pacific, a name that's been around for many, many years, in the process of rolling up into Union, and they're Ohio based, and unlike the Compass deal, which is taking probably a year if it even happens, there'll be hurdles and all kinds of. They got to go through antitrust, I would imagine. The government's got to stamp this. That'll be no problem, right, James?
No problem at all.
You shrug your shoulders like, oh, that's a nothing burger. But that deal. There are people up right now at Union Home Mortgage from Sierra now, and they're going really hard to keep the Sierra pieces in place. Any intel on what happened and what led to this?
It's no secret that Sierra Pacific has not been thriving in the last couple of years. It's a difficult market for really every participant. I don't think anyone is printing money right now, like there's no tomorrow. And Sierra Pacific is kind of an old school shop. They have their own LOS. They've done a lot more wholesale business than retail over the last couple of years, certainly. And the retail arm just never quite worked. And I just don't. You can't do it if you don't have a certain amount of scale. And they were never going to make the moves needed to be a $5 billion plus shop, a $10 billion plus shop. And so at a certain point, it's like, well, Bill knows, Jim, and Jim wants to retire. Jim wants to do other stuff with his life. And it makes more sense to hand the keys over to someone who will do something with it. Now, not everyone is going to join, everyone in that car, but it's probably also a sign that they wanted more business out of California. Now, I've heard that Union has kind of dipped their toe in the water a couple times looking at California and never really done a whole lot with it. They've also got a tiny bit of broker presence, but never really, done all that much there either. It could be a signal that they're doing both. But from what I understand, they didn't buy the servicing. And that would have been, to me, the most logical reason to do the deal in the first place. And that's apparently not why they did it. So I can only speculate that these are the two things that they're looking to do, because they do have a lot of really smart wholesale people at Sierra Pacific. Jay Permisco is not joining the union team. So they'll be under Bill Cosgrove's leadership.
Well, I think they've got, somebody told me 25 billion in servicing, something like that, union, and give or take. So, I mean, that's a nice monthly premium there on that volume. So if worst case, if they retain half the volume and they get 400 million, you can book that, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's another one less person eating from that diminished pie at the table, and this theme goes across all these verticals. Like everybody seems to be joining forces. There are less people that are potentially going to be doing more. And so many people making these big bets that is going to be the case. It's really, really fascinating to me.
Well, how many quarters can you go without making a profit, right?
Well, I think if you didn't emerge from that last year, yeah, I mean, last year was a year I think a lot of IMBs made money. They broke that consecutive 8-quarter streak of losing money. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, we'll never see that again. But what's happening in the land of the mortgage scoop? Your new pride and joy.
Yeah, well, thanks for asking. I'm trying to build something very different for mortgage professionals. I really want it to be a community where people can engage and see the good, the bad, the ugly, and sometimes the downright funny. And so we've been live for 30 days actually, and we've published stories on UWM's evolving non-Dell strategy, Rocket's new purchase strategy. I was able to get loan level data on Lisa Cook's mortgage fraud case. I don't think she's committing mortgage fraud, for those asking. I wanted to take a look at ICE Mortgage Technology, since there's a lot of chatter when you talk to people at conferences and elsewhere, but you don't see anything written about them. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to see what people really think about the relationship that they have with this industry giant. And, I'm really trying to do a lot more tech reporting and on-the-ground reporting about kind of these significant changes that we're seeing in mortgage every day. And so, related to the Compass Anywhere deal, I was able to break the news that they're going to be rolling up the JV affiliates at the various rate JVs, and they're all going to be under GRA, Guaranteed Rate Affinity. So, there's always a mortgage scoop somewhere, and just trying to bring the news to people, and hopefully people subscribe and support the publication.
How do they do that?
themortgagescoop.com, and it's easy to sign up.
You should say, everyone that signs up, you should send them a scooper so we can eradicate this dog shit problem.
I was going to send them like a free Carvel, like a $5 free Carvel ice cream scoop, but a dog poop scoop is also actually more memorable.
I mean, look at what you're doing for society. Less
and I've already convinced Jocelyn that she's a menace to society, given that she should be arrested.
She should be arrested. If not for her dog shit violations, the slow internet could be another thing, and then those power lines behind her. I mean, she living in the 50s. Where is she right now? This is crazy.
DC proper, baby.
And it looks like she's wearing a Christmas ornament too, I must say.
Oh my gosh, please.
Lots Jocelyn is my friend, folks. We're buddies. We're blackjack buddies. Yeah. We live in the same area. So have we not covered anything here? Have we left anything? This has been short and sweet. We don't want to drag it on too long, but I have a question, James, about the Cook issue and mortgage fraud.
Yep.
Do you think you hearing anything about any repercussions politically from all the noise that was made for potentially what may amount to no action?
I have not specifically. If Lisa Cook ends up, there's no case, let's say, we already know that there wasn't much of a case with Tish James. And, Adam Schiff, the senator from California, I think if you're going to penalize him for having a primary in his home district in California and one in DC, you're going to have to look at almost every politician who owns houses in both, because I would bet you most of them have called them both primaries. And I think you can justify it. Again, mortgage fraud requires intent. And I haven't seen evidence of intent to defraud anyone.
You wondering why I asked that question? I didn't see it. an eyebrow didn't go up or anything like that? Can you make an eyebrow go up, by the way? I am so envious of these people. Wow, I can't do that. Look at that's amazing. James. Jocelyn, you definitely can't do that.
I have too much Botox.
Yeah, well, cool. I haven't had, as you can tell, I haven't had my Botox shots in a while. Never a dull moment in housing. I think that's a good takeaway here, and we'll see who gets rolled up next. Yeah, and when that happens, we should make it so anytime there's some kind of a, a substantive event, a headline event that involves consolidation in either housing or mortgage, we should just all three jump on a call. It's wild, man. Wild times.
One more thing to mention. I'm going to be in Detroit next week for the Rocket Pro Experience event. So I'm excited for that. And I thought, so many people go to the mortgage conferences, and this is conference season. We're just starting to get into the thick of it. And I would like to do some critical reviews of the venues, the cities, and the food. Those who know me know I love food. And I have always been extraordinarily disappointed at the breakfast buffets at the NBA events. And so I'm going to be comparing them.
Wow. Very Portnoy-esque of you, James.
Yeah. He's got his pizza, right? I'll be doing the hot bars and the cold bars.
Okay. All right. I dig it. I wasn't aware you're a foodie. We had, how many, have we had one? Well, we've had 2 meals actually.
Yeah.
We had a meal the first time I met you. We were at a conference. I think it was in New Orleans. We took a walk around the corner, and you had a po' boy. Do you remember that? You had like some kind of po' boy. And that's when I started to fall in love. And then I completely fell in love when about a year later we had dinner in DC at an Italian restaurant, and I sat very close to you. I don't know if you remember that, but
you have the seafood tower too.
Yeah, you were sitting like this, and I was just on I should have been across from you, but I wanted to be closer to you. And we made a video that day. I actually put your hat on. Do you remember that?
I do. You showed me how to make videos, which was nice.
I
then
did.
the 3 of us had dinner. Well, or maybe just drinks.
We did. We had drinks at the Four Seasons in DC at the
in Georgetown.
Their restaurant there.
Mm-hmm. Very fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know the name of that place?
The Four
Bourbon.
Seasons.
Yeah, Bourbon Steakhouse. No, that's the place there.
Nice.
All right. Well, let's end this here. I'm going to put on my horrible glasses here so I can make sure I hit the right button. My wife gave me these. They're terrible. All right. Take it easy.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Hey, make sure you share this on your socials, guys.
Of course.
All right. Go in, share it.
We'll figure it out.
All right. Bye-bye.